In this week's video, I'm going to touch on the point that I made in the previous video, which was discussing my daily practice. And in that video, I mentioned this idea of the internal friction. So this video is going to focus on that friction. And in that video, I was calling it the mud, or our internal mud, right? And so this video is an investigation of what that mud is. So this is a really interesting topic because it's something that I think we are all hesitant to explore, right? And that mud, and it's very logical as to why we're hesitant to explore it, because that mud is our darkness, right? It's our closet that we don't want to open. It's the skeletons, it's the traumas, the beliefs, it's the moments we were bullied, or the moment we got turned down at a job, or when things didn't go our way, or all the things that we hold on to. That's the mud, right? It's the darkness inside. And we all have it, right? Anything in life that we're attaching to, that we're holding on to, becomes a part of that darkness. I would argue even good things in life, even the best things in life, right? Because if we attach to things that are super happy or joyous, amazing moments and all that type of stuff, then we're comparing, right? Like this party that's coming up, oh, I hope it's going to be so amazing. You know, the last one was incredible, and this one, I hope it's as good as it was before. We're suffering, right? There's no way we can maintain that type of a relationship because things are dynamic and they're changing. And if we're attaching to an expectation, we're almost always, if not always, going to be let down. And when we're let down, we internalize it. We hold on to it, right? Even if it's a micro bit of attachment, it's still going to be buried in the body somewhere. So that mud that we need to turn into in this video, I want to identify it by beginning a conversation as to not only where it is in the body, but what is it as well. So let's look at the where first. Anything that we experience in life that is traumatic, or anything that we are holding on to, is going to be held to some degree in the physical body, right? Think about things like butterflies in the stomach, right? A nervous stomach. When we fall in love, we get heart palpitations. When we have a panic attack, we tightness in the chest. If we are going on stage or in front of a crowd of people to give a public speech that we're not prepared for, you might feel a knot in your throat. Those are the very tangible and very real expressions of the things that I'm talking about here, right? Now, imagine what happens when you are going through maybe a frightening situation and you are experiencing that, but it's moving through. Like, so maybe you're getting, maybe there's a car accident. Maybe you get into a car accident. Maybe you were in one when you were younger, or something like that, or something that caused a lot of fear or fright, right? As we move through that experience, we are experiencing a whole avalanche of emotions, but there's going to be an overarching one, right? So there might be fright, there might be anger, there might be sadness, all of these types of things. Those emotions in that instance, like let's say again, the car accident, we might not be able to process in real time the fear or the fright that is arising from this instance. So what do? We bury it, right? We push it down. We know these statements. We say them all the time, like, oh, that sadness, just bury it deep. How many times have we said that, right? Just push it back down. Don't let it come up. Don't open up. In that space, if we are burying it down, that energy is still with us, right? That fear or that fright, it's like it's been compressed into a little knot and put into the body. And that becomes part of, or a facet of, the darkness or the mud that's inside. And so it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, it makes a lot of sense that we wouldn't want to face this, because the belief is that by facing that mud inside, well, we're going to have to relive the thing, right? Or we're going to have to go through all of that again, or it's going to be so overwhelming, or it's going to, I'm not strong enough to do it. I'm not ready to do it. It's too scary. It's too this, that. Those are all perfectly logical explanations, right? And that's our survival mechanism. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's normal. We are afraid of the unknown. We don't want to go into the unknown, right? We don't want to jump into that because we don't know if we're going to land on our feet. We don't know what it's going to look like, right? But here's the beauty of it all. When we go into that mud, right? When we explore it again, it's totally different this time because it's like we're experiencing the ghost or like a vapor or an essence, a very tenuous experience of the thing that happened. Let me give you a very, very practical and I hope relatable example because this absolutely happened many times with me. You've probably heard this in my videos before. I've broken my left arm here many times. So twice here, once here on the elbow, lots of breaks here. I've got plates in my arm and everything. And when I started to really work on the healing of that, giving myself Reiki on the arm, here's what I mean about the vapor of that trauma, right? This was a very traumatic break. I had bones sticking out of my arm, right? They literally were sticking right out of my arm. It was not very nice, obviously. And as I was working on it, when I would get down to the area of the trauma, I could feel the break again, okay? And I mean that 100%. I could feel the entirety of the break again, as if it had just happened. But here's the key, and I hope you find this to be encouraging, right? When it happened, there was physical trauma, mental trauma, emotional trauma. There was all the other emotions coming, fear, maybe fright, maybe anxiety, maybe anger, all of that stuff, this avalanche of stuff that was happening. But guess what? When I'm working on the healing of it post and I go back to it, what's left? Nothing, because this has already healed and nothing is broken. So the only thing that's left there is, it's not nothing, but the only thing that's left is it's like the vapor of this experience or the memory or the imprint, right, of it. So even though I'm feeling all of the pain of the break, there's nothing broken. There's nothing happening in my physical body that is sending off all these other alarms, right? And indeed, there's nothing on the nervous system that is getting me to freak out that I'm actually having a break. So while the pain is there, it's as if I can witness all of the pain, but also witness that it is totally detached. And if it's totally detached, then we can face it, because it's like sitting in front of a massive fire. You can see it, you can feel it, right? You can hear it, but you can't, it's not hitting the body. Like somehow that heat or that sensation is not in the body because you're not connected to it, right? So it'd be like sitting in front of a massive fire, but you're completely blocked from all of the stimuli of it. So that fire could grow 20,000 times bigger, right? It could just become a massive thing and it's still not impacting you. And when I started to notice that about the break on my arm with that example of the fire, it's as if the pain could be dialed up even beyond what I thought it was like with the break. And by doing that, I'm able to release more and more and more of it. And now there's nothing left, right? There's nothing left at all. There's no pain. There's no feeling of the break or anything. And so why am I giving this, this example here? I'm giving it because it is the mud, right? And when we turn to that mud and we turn and look at it, and we maybe for the first time, because there's always a first time for everything, right? There was a first time for me to finally have the courage to look at it long enough, to not be afraid of it, and to kind of stare it down or feel it. And I remember it was with the arm. It really hurt. So I'd stop giving Reiki. It really hurt. I'd stop, really hurt, and stop. But I started to notice that as soon as I took my hand away and was not engaging in Reiki, the pain would immediately drop off, right? So I'm like, wow, okay, that's weird. So if I go back, wow, there's the pain again. Now it's gone. There it is again. Now it's gone. Okay. So this is not something that's affecting me right now. So if it's not affecting me now, then when I'm doing the Reiki and I feel the pain, maybe it doesn't affect me then either. And then I started to recognize like, wow, okay, hold on. So maybe I was just afraid afraid of reliving the break, afraid of reliving the trauma, the moment, right? Afraid of hearing it and bringing the memory back. And then guess what? Those things didn't happen. It was just the physical pain that I was feeling. And I was able to stay with it a little bit more and a little bit deeper, a little bit longer. And even though that pain started to get more intense, I could stay with it because I was familiar. It seemed like a safe place to be in, right? And so not only are we recognizing the mud here, but we're starting to turn into it. And turning into it is what I'm going to dive into in next week's video. Thanks everybody, be well, and In Gassho.